What's up, everybody? This is Robyn O'Neill. We're listening to me reading stuff. This is my podcast where I love to read you things, usually one thing each episode. And you know what? It's been a while since I've explained this, so let's go for it. It's been a while since I did a lot of things, and this is one of them. I am not claiming to be an expert on poetry, nor am I claiming to be an expert on the written word. What this is just somebody real excited about the written word and really excited about sharing the different things I happen to read that I want to share with others and think that they might get excited about them too. So that's all this is. And I wanted to make that clear that I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I did not go to school for literature. I did take a lot of literature courses in graduate school and in undergrad school. And as I say that, I find it important to say that I did not get my master's. Okay? So I don't want to come off like I'm more cool than I am, because I did drop out of my master's program for art at UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago. I can tell that story another time. I'm sure I have told it on here at some point over the last decade. But so it involves actually somebody committing suicide off of the building I lived in, believe it or not. So it's not a good story, but it did change the course of my life forever. And anyway, that's a different story altogether. So I'm an artist, yes, but I do not have an MFA. No, I do not. What does that mean to you guys who are not in the art world? That means basically I can't teach at a university level, although I have taught at a university level. Let's face it. So maybe it doesn't mean that, but I'm not supposed to be able to, or that's kind of the golden. I don't think I could get like a permanent tenure track position at a university. And you know what? Not a big deal, because I don't really think I want that ever. You know, I try to be careful. I used to just talk and say things. And now I'm trying to be like, you know what? I've lived long enough now to know that I've changed my mind about nearly everything. As mentioned last week about nudity. Nudity's great. Actually, I just want to make it clear. Damien told me he thought it was really funny. I thought it was just embarrassing and crazy, but he said it was a funny story about me running throughout the house with the enormous flying cockroach chasing me. But I don't want it to sound like now I'm a nudist either. I'm just meaning I can actually get out of the shower and not feel the need to cover myself up even when I'm alone, like within a matter of seconds. Oh my God. It was so painful. I remember being in the art dorms when I was in my undergraduate program. We actually had dorms for the art majors, and that sounds like a dream now. I don't know. I do not want to live in the art dorms again, but it was a dream. It was so incredible. Shout out to Cindy. What's up, girl? And anyway, Cindy was my RA. And so the girls, we had girls and boys art dorms, and they were right across a courtyard from each other. And for me, I was one of the only people who got a solo room. I don't know what you call that. But anyway, I had never shared a room with anybody in my life, and I was really nervous about everything. But I was really nervous to go to college and have to share a bathroom, to share, common kitchen. And I'm a very, private person in so many ways. And so the fear in me for having to go to the bathroom and take a shower with other people in a common bathroom area, even though I was also so lucky because there were only 1, 2, 3 other girls who shared this one bathroom. When I look back on that, that's not so bad at all. But it was so hard for me, and nobody knew it. This is the other thing, is that I never told anybody, didn't tell my mom, didn't tell my dad, didn't tell any of my friends there. I just was so terrified to take a shower. And I remember the amount of contorting I did with my body to make sure I could grab that towel and bring it into the shower but not get it wet and get out of the shower with not a chance of anybody seeing like a single inch of my body besides my arms and the bottom part of my legs or something. I mean, it's just sad now. I mean, it was very, 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 it makes me very sad. It shows shame. It shows anxiety. It shows just, I don't even know. I mean, this was my home for a full year. So anyway, that was my year prior to the $75 a month house that the cockroach chased me around in. I'm not sure why I'm talking about all of that. Can't remember. I think I was just giving you guys the lay of the land. If anybody's new here, welcome. My name's Robyn O'Neill. You can find my work online, robynoneal.com. Speaking of that, still haven't done one thing. You know, I talked to you last week. Fully intended to get more done in the past week on my website. Didn't do anything on it. So if you do happen to check my website out, please know that it is severely lacking in updates. It is so old now. I mean, I really loved it at the time, but now I really need something else. So how could I, if anybody has any ideas, do let me know. How can I motivate myself to update my website, to like really hunker down and do this thing? I'm starting to wonder, like, what if I brought my computer to the library or to a cute cafe and then I do like 3-hour sessions until it's done or something like that? Because I think I'm just a little too comfortable and cozy at home. I'm not sure. If you have any ideas, do let me know. I'll be right back. We're going to read something in the beginning of the podcast this time, everybody. Okay, everybody, we're going to be reading something slightly different than we normally read. Today, we're going to be reading from a book by Geri Jewell. That's Geri, Jewell, with 2 L's at the end. For those of you who do not know Geri Jewell, also known as, commonly referred to as Cousin Geri, she was, man, I don't even know where to begin. Let me look at this. Hold on. Let me pull up the Wikipedia page because I have so many feelings and so much love for Geri Jewell that I don't even know how I would describe her. So I'll let the internet do it. Geraldine Ann, quote, Geri Jewell, born September 13th, 1956, is an American actress, stand-up comedian, diversity consultant, and motivational speaker, noted for roles on the 1980s sitcom The Facts of Life and the mid-2000s Western Deadwood. So if you grew up when I did, people my age will know Geri Jewell because mainly from Facts of Life and Sesame Street. And I'll put a link to some clips of Geri in the description of the podcast so you can check that out, along with a link to the book that Geri wrote, her autobiography called I'm Walking as Straight as I Can. And I'm really excited to hopefully just help promote this book for Geri for a new audience, because the book came out quite a long time ago. Let me double check on that. But it came out in, 2011. But I had been rewatching The Facts of Life, and that was a sitcom about a bunch of boarding school girls I think they're in Connecticut. They're very near New York City, and they're from all over the country, these girls. And it's started in, I think, 78 or 9 and ran through the almost late 80s and is most often referred to because it's where George Clooney got his acting start. I think it might have been his debut. And anyway, it's all about the girls and, learning how to grow up and that kind of thing. I'm doing a horrible job describing The Facts of Life. I really loved The Facts of Life as a kid, and rewatching it lately, I mean, it's got a lot of problems and it kind of sucks in a lot of ways, but it reminded me about how much I loved Geri Jewell, and I loved her on Sesame Street, and she would pop up on TV a lot when I was a little kid. And her presence on these, just basic TV channels as regularly as she was there was really a beautiful thing. And the reason is because she also, along with being a great actress, she has cerebral palsy. And she has recently also, not recently, but later in life, she came out as lesbian also. So she was, I mean, I had never seen somebody with cerebral palsy on TV that I can think of. I mean, this is definitely the first time I remember that. And she was such an advocate for people with disabilities. And it was just incredible. And what they did with her character on The Facts of Life was really, she was the first regular character with a visible disability to ever be on television. And so she's just groundbreaking in so many ways, and I wanted to learn about her story more. And sure enough, her book, I'm Walking as Straight as I Can, is so... It's funny, but it's heartbreaking. It taught me a lot about cerebral palsy and what people and the families of people who have this condition go through. And anyway, I'm talking a little too much, and I should just read. And this was one story. There goes my entire desk. Hold on. There was one story that I made a note of when I was reading it, and I'm just going to read you the entire story. So here we go. Sit back, and please do look into Geri Jewell. And God, I never have said this, I don't think, in the history of me doing this podcast for 10 plus years, but Geri, if you happen to be listening to this somehow, some way, I want you to know that, God, I don't even know how to say it. Just know that you have been massively important to me personally, and I know you know this, to so many kids with disabilities throughout the world, and you changed everything, and you changed the way people see other human beings with disability, and just different disabilities in general, specifically cerebral palsy. And I just hope that you know how vital the work you did was. And I love you. Oh my God, I love the shit out of you, girl. Okay, so here we go. We're going to read from Geri Jewell's I'm Walking as Straight as I Can, which is such an amazing title for somebody who's both gay and has cerebral palsy. She's just, you guys, if you don't know her, I'm so excited to introduce her to so many of you. Okay. She's talking about, this is like late high school. Okay. Oh yeah. Senior year. One moment will always stick with me as one of my funnier laughing experiences. During my senior year in high school, I needed some extra credit toward my GPA, so I volunteered at a preschool facility run by Lorraine Shaw. The classroom was located at St. Joseph's Catholic Church in Placentia. This was a wonderful experience. I made a great friend, Jane Holler, who was another student volunteer from Troy High School. Lorraine Shaw was not only loved by the schoolers, but also by us volunteers. Hold on. Okay. She was a beautiful woman inside and out, supportive and creative. She was a shining light to all. It was right before the school holiday break in 1974. Christmas lights glimmered and twinkled on many homes and businesses. No, we didn't have the white Christmases that colder climates enjoyed, but we did have the twinkling lights and some rotating Santas waving from rooftops. Lorraine was feeling sad because she couldn't afford a tree that year for the children to decorate. Jane, myself, and the other volunteers decided to have a car wash one Saturday to raise money to buy a Christmas tree for Lorraine's preschool. We got permission from the church to hold it in the parking lot and were allowed to use the hose. Even though it wasn't the holy water that we could get inside the church, we nevertheless felt it was just as blessed as it was going to help raise the money we needed to surprise Lorraine with a Christmas tree. We arrived in the parking lot early Saturday morning with lots of old towels, buckets, soap, Windex, and vacuums. The church was even generous enough to let us use their extension cords. We displayed a big poster board advertising to all the dirty cars on the road that we would clean them, making them as shiny as the next ornament hanging from the tree that we were trying to raise money to buy. Whatever our gimmick was, it worked. Cars began to pull into the parking lot early. It was so exciting thinking about the gift we were all going to give Lorraine. We charged $1.50 per car to clean it inside and out. The day was off to a good start, and we all got very wet and soapy. The dirtier the cars, the more fun it became. Everything ran relatively smoothly until about 2:30 that afternoon when a nun pulled into the lot in her very old red clunker. I didn't know enough about cars to know the year or make of it, but I knew it had to be almost as old as I was. I was also thrilled that I got to wash a nun's car. I pretended that I was a nun and I was doing penitent work, and that she was my mother superior. All I can say now is that I thank God she really wasn't, because what happened next would have probably had me excommunicated from the church. The first thing I noticed was a proof of her vow of poverty. This was the oldest car I had ever seen, and extremely dirty as well. I couldn't wait to show her a beautiful, clean car when she returned. I was a little stunned at all of the clutter on the floor and began tossing it, including an empty can of 7-Up and candy wrappers. Nuns eating junk food seemed like a sin, but hey, nobody's perfect. Next, I began vacuuming. As I vacuumed, I happened to glance up at the ceiling. It looked totally filthy, like it had several layers of mucky, embedded dirt. I decided to vacuum the ceiling as well. I was curious as to what color it really was underneath all the yellow, brown, and gray layers of whatever it was. As I put the hose to the roof, it sucked off a section of the padding and revealed the bare metal frame beneath it. My heart raced as I wondered what kind of trouble I was going to be in when Mother Superior returned. There was now a huge gaping hole in her ceiling, and there was no way I could cover it up. Instead of just stopping and letting it go, I decided that if the material sucked off so easily, maybe the best thing to do was to vacuum all of it off. At least then, she might not notice the big hole that was there. I also justified it as getting rid of some of the serious, unholy mucky muck. So off came the rotted padding, revealing nothing but the metal frame. I didn't believe it could get any worse, but it did. Next, I pulled the car further up to the hose. Unfortunately, her car was manual. I took driver's ed, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember what exactly a clutch was or what to do with it. All I knew was that when I turned the key, the car bounced and jerked all over the place. It felt as though the car was possessed. The Exorcist was a hit movie that year, or had cerebral palsy just like I did. Now, I was terrified that I had somehow broken her car as well as stripped her roof off. And then, with the car convulsing all over the place, the situation struck me as insidiously funny. I couldn't stop laughing. It's like that feeling of being totally overwhelmed. You want to cry and laugh at the same time. And I laughed so hard that I peed. The front driver's seat became soaked with urine. Fearing the hour when she would ask me for the keys to her car, I knew I couldn't lie and just hoped to God she was in the Christmas spirit. As she walked toward me, I prayed for mercy. Her black and white habit looked imposing and frightening, and her rosary beads swayed back and forth in the wind as though they had a life of their own. Suddenly, I wish I could be like Sally Field and fly away to some far-off land. The next thing I knew, she was standing right in front of me, requesting her keys and handing me $2. Quickly, I mentioned there was no charge, that I had accidentally vacuumed her roof off, and that I peed in the driver's seat. She glanced at the bare roof, the wet seat, and simply said, "Thank you." I thought for sure she misunderstood and repeated myself. "Never mind, child. Your heart was in the right place, and you were honest about it." She then made the sign of the cross and told me that she would pray for me. She got into her old clunker, sat right down in my pee, and said, "Merry Christmas," and drove off. I forgot to mention that Geri had talked about several times that one of the biggest risks in childhood for her with having cerebral palsy was that during laughing fits, she would always pee because there's a lot of involuntary muscle movement and stuff like that with cerebral palsy. So she couldn't help herself, you know? Anyway, I thought that was a great clip or a great sample of some things you'll get in this book if you read it. And I really do highly recommend it. And a lot of them are much darker. I decided to read this sweet story instead because I just did. But some of them, you know, you'll hear about her business manager completely taking advantage of her. And, you know, she was a huge star on The Facts of Life and probably making a lot of money, but that business manager ended up taking all that money from her. I mean, you know how many crooks there are in Hollywood. And she just kept getting taken advantage of again and again. But my God, this woman just persevered no matter what came her way. And I'm telling you, when you read this, you'll realize, like, I just felt so insignificant and like such a baby. I'm like, the things that I thought were big deals growing up and the obstacles I had to overcome in the early days of my career compared to what Geri went through while having cerebral palsy, while being on her own, while being taken advantage of left and right. I mean, she was just relentless and kind of just nothing stopped her. Also, she was a regular at the Comedy Store. And this was when women were barely allowed at the Comedy Store in LA. Yet she was there regularly doing stand-up amongst the greats like Robyn Williams and stuff. So that's Geri Jewell, otherwise known as Cousin Geri from The Facts of Life. And I really hope you guys will consider buying the book. And hey, again, Geri, if you're out there, I love you, girl. Okay, Frankie just got on my lap. We're going to close this baby out. What do I want to say in closing? Oh, God, I just wiped banana juice all over my keyboard. I got distracted with Frankie. Is there even banana juice? I don't think you call it banana juice. But, banana mush? That's even sicker. God, this whole thing is sick. Again, do you guys remember? Has anybody been listening long enough to know my feelings about bananas? If so, write in info@robynoneal.com. Because if you know what I'm talking about, the first person to write in my thoughts about bananas, because there's one specific thought I always talk about with bananas. I don't know if anybody's going to get this, actually. But if you do, I will respond to your email and I will send you something in the mail. How does that sound? If you get it right. My main thought about bananas. Okay. And it's not just, I'm just going to say this. It's not like, oh, it looks so sexual when people eat bananas. It's nothing like that. Okay. Let's see. Closing thoughts. Don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole to yourself. Don't be an asshole to others. And you know what? Don't even have asshole thoughts. Do not be a jerk, okay? Be nice. We all need kindness. As always, everyone is always safe and welcome here, except, and you know what? This is important for any new listeners. I haven't said this in a long-ass time. The only people who aren't welcome here are bigots of any kind. So racist, if you are homophobic, etc. And or if you're a child molester or a rapist. Everyone except those types of monsters are always welcome with me. Let me be clear, because that sounded weird. I said that backwards, I think. But those kinds of people, the bigots, the molesters, and the rapists, get the fuck out of here. Oh, I scared Frankie. I don't like to yell a lot. I don't yell as much lately, you guys. But, get the out of here. And everybody else, this is your spot. This is your place. This is where we chill. This is where we love. This is where we express. This is where we write. So this is where we just appreciate. That's what we do here. We do complain sometimes. We certainly do. Like right now, I'm having to click something on this Holter monitor that I'm wearing. Anyway, for those of you that don't know what that is, that's a little heart monitor I'm on right now, and every time I feel a palpitation, I have to click it. So if I've seemed extra distracted on this episode, it's because I'm constantly clicking this monitoring device. Okay, what else do I want to say in closing here? Try to be okay not being okay. That's what I'm doing these days. Timing is always perfect. Expectations are premeditated resentments. I'm going to say that one more time for you newcomers. And get a pen out. Let's write this down. Expectations are premeditated resentments. Got it? All right. You guys study that one. And when it shines, it shines. That's a good one to end with. Well, speaking of shining, We like to end with this. We shall find peace. We shall hear angels. We shall see the sky sparkling with diamonds. That is Anton Chekhov. I am Robyn O'Neill. The reading was by Geri Jewell. And I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week, and it's good to be back.